Hey, this is going to be your school assignment. Now, in the normal public school system, you'll go through the usual history classes. There'll always be some mention of Nazi Germany and the Jewish Holocaust during World War II. But it wasn't until I went to kind of researched it myself about Unit 731 and Chinese people, because the Japanese and the German Nazis were working together. Ultimately, the German Nazis duped the Japanese rulers at the time, basically, into joining forces and, fighting against us. But what a lot of people don't know is that there was a similar Holocaust, basically, to the just one second. Basically, there's a similar Holocaust to the Jewish Holocaust, but it happened in China, or near China. There was a heavy hatred for Chinese people like there was Jewish people. Basically, the Japanese were copying off the German Nazis, and how the German Nazis were blaming Jewish people and just anyone that was different from white, blue, blonde hair, blue eyes. They're trying to make the problem to be people of a different race. That's why Nazis were killing Jewish people, going against Jewish people. It was basically the same exact thing happening in Asia or China. There's Japanese military was basically hunting down Chinese people, and they had everything is here. I could read it, but it's just a lot to read, and I can barely see it. But basically, Unit 731. It was It's exactly like the fucking concentration camps. Crazy ass Japanese scientists and military use these places to capture and do crazy shit. It's just like that shit at the border right now in Texas. It's like these are just concentration camps basically to keep people against their will and just fucking treat them like shit. But it was a much worse. It's at a much worse level back in during World War II. There are over 400,000 deaths here. In modern day Japan today, they try to denounce this. There's Japanese people that are really believe that none of this ever happened, because that's kind of how that's how kind of the history and the culture works over there. They kind of want to just erase this, but it happened. There was there's actually a few of these, I believe, but this one in particular is the most infamous. There's even a movie about it. It's called Men Behind the Sun, and it's just exactly like sorry, I was just trying to read this quote right here. But it's directed by a very famous Chinese director, by the way, T.F. Mao. But this movie, it's a Chinese movie ultimately, and it's just their account of how the Japanese treated them back then, all their fucking lives really. because Chinese people are just looked down upon. It's hard to explain, but it's like right in front of your eyes at what's happening. There's a growing hatred against Asians, but in particular, Chinese people really have been just as oppressed as the Jewish people, just as oppressed as African Americans. Chinese people feel all the shit too, and they felt it even much, I would say, as bad as the Jewish people. I mean, I don't like to just try to compare and contrast people suffering from war atrocities, war crimes, but this is basically, for as much history as we're poured into learning about Jewish people, we should be learning just as much about the Chinese people that suffered during World War II. They suffered crazy ass experiments, war crimes. If you watch this movie, you probably will be disturbed. If you don't usually watch foreign movies, this one in particular has some pretty crazy stuff. I don't recommend watching it, but if you want to just kind of, if you're curious, then I mean, if you're into just seeing shit that's like crazy practical effects, like the practical effects in this movie are really well done, but at the same time they're very graphic. There's very graphic scenes of just gratuitous violence and just the accounts of the torturous science experiments that the fucking Japanese scientists did to Chinese people. They called them logs too. They don't even call them like human beings. This is how like desensitization is. It's like they didn't consider these Chinese people that they were torturing and killing as like people. They called them logs. So it's like, it's almost parallel to like right now, how we just don't like, when you just don't care about like the livelihood of someone, and you just think of them as somebody like lesser than you that you can just fucking kill. This is just like how like, it's just cruelty. It's like plain fucking human cruelty. And this is like, and basically this is ongoing. Like I said, the Japanese, like, I guess the Japanese government, whatever, they don't want people to ever really learn about this, because the Japanese have this own kind of high, like, you know, image of themselves, the way they do business, the way they do things. But that doesn't like erase away the fact, I mean, it doesn't erase away like all the slavery and shit that the Americans have done either. I'm not trying to say that America is better than like any of these fucking, you know, war's never good. War's a bad thing. And the people that suffer during the war, it's even worse, because everything's being controlled by like assholes that want to just see motherfuckers throw their lives away for like nothing. It's like what's going on in Myanmar, which is like people are still dying there. Like, what's going on right now is just like how military, or just like people in power, think so little of like human life. In other countries, I guess you can say, even here, because we have like mass shootings and shit. It's just this like, I'm pretty sure there's someone like watching me right now that wants me dead, because they don't like what I'm saying. Like this, it's just like, it's such a death society. No one can get along. It's like, and then shit, it's just crazy shit that just manifests itself over the years. And it's like, you know, if you can't see like if you just have to like forget shit because you think it's old, then you're gonna just be like a complete fucking waste to me, I guess. But I can't like forget history. I can't forget like shit that's like ignored, and then like people are wondering why there's Asian hate, or why they're just, it's always been around. There's always been just people that actively want to see others suffer and just die. And it's just like, it gets exhausting seeing this all throughout fucking history. But it's there. And it's like, this movie opens up saying friendship is friendship, history is history. And it's like, you're always going to have people that are your friends, but like friends can't change what's happened in the past, and it's either up to you to, I guess, let go of the past, or go on your own path. And it's like, I can't forget this stuff. I can't forget just, I can't look at it as just like, the Jews were the only ones suffering during the Holocaust, during World War II. Because Chinese people were suffering. Japanese were fucking killing them and just conducting, like, the rape of Nanking. We look at that. I'm not on that right now, but that's another similar event to the war crimes that, like, Japanese people were conducting. And it's like, what was going on in Japan, like, history-wise, is almost exactly parallel to, like, us right now. Because Japan was ran by, like, different, like, fucking, there was, like, multiple emperors all over Japan because no one could ever, like, fucking get along with each other. It's almost like how we're all ran by different states in the United States, and no one can, like, figure out any shit. One place has, like, legal weed. You can sell weed at like all day. And another place, you have weed on you, it's fucking jail time. Go to jail for fucking 3 ounces of weed, I guess. But you let all these, like, pedophiles and murderers and rapists run free. And someone who has, like, fucking grass on them has to go to fucking jail for some reason and probably get stabbed to death. For something that, like, weed's legal in one place, but it's not the other. That doesn't make sense. That's not a fucking society that has everything on the same page. It's why I'm just, like, mixed on just people's, like, what they want. That's why I can't stand being on places like Facebook and shit like that, because it's like everyone pretends to be happy, but they're also fucking fake. And I don't know. That's really all I have to say about that. I think it's worth looking into this, because for as much as kids have to fucking learn about Jewish people, why don't you learn about Chinese people? I'm not trying to be anti-Semitic, but Chinese people were suffering during World War II as well. They were fucking being thrown into concentration camps too. But we're gonna read Anne Frank's diary every fucking year. But we're not gonna ever learn about the Chinese people that were suffering, because we all are. It's like we're all just raised to be racists. And it's like up to you to, like, learn and just, like, be enlightened by, like, other stuff that's happened in the past. Otherwise, you're just going to continue on with history. We're going to make more Hitlers. There's going to be more of this fucking guy as time goes on. Everyone just wants to be a fucking Hitler. All he did was just scream and fucking try to get fucking people to listen to him. It's just like repeat. It's just fucking like spinning plates. Anyway, thank you for watching this stream. I hope that you take your hatred for me and manifest it and channel it somewhere else that I think is much more, like, worthy of your hatred. I don't know, fight for people that, like, can't fight for themselves. I'm not saying to fucking go start a fucking fire somewhere, but I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Peace out.